Hey friends, welcome to Mountain Meadow Homestead. My name's Melissa if you're new here. And this week has been a rough week. Our family has gotten sick a couple times, and so we're basically almost there of everyone getting healthy, but because of that, we missed starting some seeds at the beginning of the week. And so we're going to start those seeds today, and we're going to start the seeds that are on the list for today. Today is Saturday, March 22nd. Um, and we're going to take care of these onions. They have grown so much. If you remember, we've already trimmed them once since we started them from seed, and they're ready for another trim already. So we're going to take care of those, get them watered, and we've got a few germination on the other plants that we started. But before we do that, let's take a look and see here in our garden journal what seeds we need to start today. It looks like we've got some herbs we need to start, our broccoli, cauliflower, we've got some flowers. We can probably go ahead and do our bell peppers. I don't have them on the list until next Saturday, but I know next Saturday I'm going to be out of town, and so I'll probably just go ahead and get those started. And peppers, they take a little bit longer to start anyway, and so I think it'll be fine to go ahead and start them a week earlier than expected. So other than that, I might start some lettuce greens too. I have wanted to try and experiment with, so we've got our makeshift greenhouse in the back corner of the property, and I've never tried putting greens and things that are frost hardy out there earlier in the growing season. And so I want to give that a try this year and see how it goes. It would be nice to have some things early, like salad, earlier in the year. So it can't hurt anything, and if all else fails, then I know for next year not to do that. Before we do all that, though, we're going to get these onions trimmed. I love how bright and green they look in the camera. So I'll show you that real fast. We'll just do like we did the first time, and we'll give them a good haircut. I think some of these are ones that have sprouted since we trimmed. I've had something on my mind lately that I really want to share with you, and that is in regards to what you can grow in your area. Now, we have a very short growing season here, and so it's very difficult to grow certain things. Like pumpkins, melons, anything that has a really long season. So, when I first started gardening, I reached out to local gardeners in my area, particularly farms that had done CSAs or they still grow for farmers markets, because I wanted to hear from them what they've had success with, what they haven't had success with, and to get their tips and tricks and encouragement. And this was when I was first really getting serious about growing food for my family. And they had a lot of great things to say, but they also had a lot of discouraging words that if I was not a very persistent and determined person, I probably would have given up growing food for my family in our short growing season. And I can remember one of the things that these farms would tell me is, we cannot grow onions in our area. They don't do well here. And I decided that year I was going to try it anyway. And that year, I harvested enough onions to get us clear through April the following spring. And they were probably the best thing that I had harvested out of my garden that year, the most productive and rewarding item. And so, all of this to say, don't ever give up on trying something regardless of what people say. Obviously, there's seasoned gardeners that are going to give great advice, but sometimes they may be wrong, or they may not know of season extension tools, or like frost cloth, just things that maybe will help you to be successful in growing something that maybe they haven't been successful at growing at. So as you can see here, we got all of our onion clippings. They look kind of like grass clippings, but we'll just go ahead and compost those and we'll get started on our seeds. All right, so I've got all of these pulled out that we need to start, but let's take a look at what peppers we're gonna do. So we've got our sweet banana pepper. We've got our early jalapeno pepper. We've got our giant Marconi pepper. This one I'm excited for. It's called Lunchbox Pepper Mix. And most of these are open pollinated too. I think the only one that I have here that's not open pollinated or an heirloom is this one, because I did find one of these. What are these called? Anaheim. I did find one of these that was an heirloom, or no, it was just an open pollinated variety. But they were sold out and I wasn't able to get my hands on it. So next year I will. But so I just have from Johnny's Seeds an Anaheim type pepper. I got a jalapeno and a habanada. I don't like heat. I like to taste my, this is what I tell my husband, I like to taste my food, and even like the spice of a really good jalapeno, it like makes it unbearable for me to eat my food. So I'm looking forward to those, to have the taste of those peppers without the heat. We'll see how they do here. And then I've got the California Wonder Bell. I've got the Golden Cal Wonder Pepper. And then I have the big red pepper. Now, I did a lot of bell peppers last year and I did harvest quite a few, but I had a lot that had blossom end rot. And I think it has to do with last year I didn't put my shade cloth on my greenhouse like I did in years past. And we had a pretty hot July. And so I kind of wonder if I didn't water consistently enough. I don't know. I am thinking what I might do is put in a drip system in my greenhouse and see if that helps. And then also making sure I get that shade cloth put on and see if that helps any. But let's see, we're not doing a shishito. Wasn't a huge fan of the shishito peppers, even though they're kind of been popular in the last few years. I think, let's see. Oh, pepperoncini pepper. We'll do one of those. One thing we like to make with these is Mississippi roast. And so you just do you take your roast, and we do it with all kinds of meat. We do pork or beef or chicken sometimes because it makes really good sandwiches. And then you put in pepperoncini peppers and let's see, a cube of butter, some ranch powder, and au jus sauce packet. Well, we've done that for years, and like I mentioned in our bacon making video, we've been kind of on the journey of getting rid of chemicals in our food, dyes in our food, and we found a couple things wrong with this recipe. So, first of all, if you didn't know this, a lot of your pepperoncini in a jar, or your yellow peppers in a jar, they have yellow number 5 food dye in them, and so that kind of put us off. So we like to try and grow our own peppers for that purpose. What I've done in the meantime is I'll throw in our canned green chilies instead, and that turns out really well. The other thing is your packets of ranch and au jus that you can buy at the store. They have some undesirable things in them also. So make our own ranch, and I just leave the au jus out, and I don't really notice the difference. So Anyway, pepperoncinis, those are definitely ones that we're going to start. Some other things that we're going to start are our broccoli and cauliflower. I'm going to do 2 types of broccoli. If you live in a similar climate to me, I have grown these a few years now, the Waltham 29 broccoli, and they do really, really well here. They grow big, beautiful heads of broccoli. If I keep them covered, they're bug-free, worm-free, and they're nice and full, and they make it really nice for preserving and freezing. So I do like these. However, they take 80 days to mature, and that's always pushing to the end of our season and into the hot season. And so I wanted to find one that was a little bit shorter season, and so I found this one. It's called Calabrese broccoli. It's 65 days to maturity. And it looks like it produces a nice full head. It says it's a popular heirloom variety known for its large, dense heads and robust flavor. So we'll see. Maybe this will be nice to have some coming on earlier in the season, and then having my tried and true coming on later in the season, and kind of spaced out there. And then we're going to start some, before I mention that, I did save some broccoli seeds from my Waltham 29 from last year. So we're just going to try them and see if they're viable. See if what I did was correct in saving them. And then we're going to start the white amazing cauliflower. And this one also produces just very nicely here. It is a 68-day variety, so I think I typically am harvesting this earlier than I am the broccoli. But it is a self-blanching, and if you don't know what that means, it means that the leaves of the cauliflower kind of curl up and around the head of cauliflower, and protects that nice, beautiful white from yellowing in the sun. You do have varieties where you kind of need to pinch the leaves and fold them over while they're getting big, so that the sun doesn't turn that cauliflower yellow. So I really love these. They do really well. And then we like to have cabbage for things like coleslaw, or we'll do some dishes where we roast or throw cabbage in the crock pot with the meal, and get them nice and flavorful. And so we won't grow a ton of these, but we'll grow a few. But we'll do the early Jersey Wakefield cabbage. It's a 60 to 75 day variety. So it says it's an early maturing variety. It has a solid, tightly held head, usually 15 inches long by 7 inches wide, and weighs about 3 to 4 pounds. So it is a historic variety, and it was grown in Jersey City, New Jersey in 1840. So I'm excited for that one. As far as our herbs go, it looks like I need to start rosemary, rhubarb, thyme. I think that's it at this time. So we've got, it's called Victoria rhubarb that we're going to start. And then we've got our English thyme. Now, thyme is a perennial in zone 5. So I have some that I left be at the end of the gardening season last year. And so I'm interested to see if it comes back or not. If it does, then I'll probably plant a good big pot of this on my patio, and we'll just keep it coming back year after year. So interesting fact, here at our house, we are more of a zone 4 to 5, some depending on the year. And so we're kind of like a zone 4A, 4B. We got down to negative, I think the coldest we got this year was negative -25, maybe -30. But our property, it's across the river and it's lower setting near the river, and so it gets a lot colder. There'll be occasions where there's even a 10-degree swing in temperature between our house and the property. Um, Not so much in the summertime, but more so in the winter, like when we're getting down in those negative temperatures. And so I consider our property to be more of a zone 3A, 3B. Um, and so that's just something for me to consider, like for perennials that I'm leaving up there and or things that I'm planting over winter, like garlic. I'm hoping our garlic made it through the winter, but we shall see. Everything's an experiment, right? So, but anyway, we'll start some thyme, and then we needed to start some rosemary. So we'll start some rosemary, get that going. Everything else I think can wait until we're closer into April. And then for flowers. So for flowers, we've got yarrow. We got this one by Johnny Seeds. I'll kind of show you the picture, but I'll put it up on the screen too. And then I've got 2 types of snapdragons. I've got Orange Wonder and Apple Blossom. And I started these last year, and these snapdragons, and they're just so pretty. And then for greens, I'm trying to decide what I want to do. So we're gonna do arugula. I've got this slow bolt arugula, and arugula is not frost tender, so it does well with like a light frost. I did save my own arugula seeds this year, so we'll try and see if those will germinate. And then I've got, it's called Paris Island romaine, and that's what it looks like. It says it does fairly well. I've got Butter Crunch lettuce. This one says it can be started earlier in the season because of a very high tolerance for cold weather. So that'll be a good candidate. And then I've got Bloomsdale longstanding spinach. This one, we go from like cold temperatures to just overnight we're getting intense sun and hot during the day. And so this typically will bolt fairly easily once we get into like the end of June. And so it would be nice if I can get it started earlier to have more of a longer span of being able to enjoy it. So this one does resist bolting a lot better than other spinaches that I've tried. And then this one is new for us this year, Lasiento dinosaur kale, starting it. And obviously kale is in the Brassica family, and so it does well with light frosts. So I think those are the things that we're going to start. So for our peppers and our greens, I will probably do soil blocks. And for everything else, I think I will start in some pots because I think that'll just work out better. Maybe I'll do herbs in soil blocks too. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so I got all of our we got our pots filled up with soil. I got soil blocks in these 2, and then I got some more pots filled with soil. And this is kind of what I did. Oh, and I did add straw flowers. So I didn't mention that earlier, but I'm going to do straw flowers too. I got 4 different colors. I really love straw flowers. They're like the coolest flower, and they're pretty frost, what do you call it? They're pretty frost hardy. So they last later into September for us, and they make awesome bouquets, and they're really awesome drying flowers. So what I have here is I'm going to do let's see. I'm going to do 12 of the yarrow, which I think the yarrow, it's a perennial, but in what zone? Perennial in zone 2 to 9. So I should only have to plant this once and it should come back year after year. So we got the yarrow, I've got snapdragons, and then the straw flowers. Here I have our peppers. I'm going to do 2 rows of the big red, 2 rows of the California Wonder, 2 rows of the golden cal, 1 row of the early jalapeno, and then I'm going to do 2 of each of the rest. Besides the giant Marconi, I'm going to do a whole row of those. And then I'm going to do 1 row of kale, and then all of the other lettuces I'm going to do 2 rows of. And then over here, I'm going to do 3 6 cells of broccoli, 3 6 cells of cauliflower, and then I'm going to do 2 6 cells of thyme, 2 6 cells of rosemary, 1 of the rhubarb, and 1 of the cabbage. And that should get me where I'm kind of close to the goal that I have in my seed starting plan, as far as like what I need for preservation purposes. And when I end up with extras when I go to plant, then I can give some away to friends and family. And but this will at least guarantee that I get the quantity that I'm looking for. So let's go ahead and get these planted and we'll get them on the shelf. All right, friends, we got all of our seeds started. So this whole row here on my shelf are the seeds that we started. And so I'm glad we got those started. I got all the peppers started. We got some flowers started, some herbs, some lettuces. The next seeds that we're going to start here in think it was 2.5 weeks, um, they will be all of our tomato plants that will start. And we do a couple slicing varieties and then some Roma tomato varieties. Um, and I've got a few like cherry tomatoes. My girls, they each do like a small little garden every year. And so they will pick out some tomatoes that they want because I've got so many tomato seeds. I have a problem when I order seeds. Um, so they'll pick out their tomato plants, and then I always let them pick out what flowers they want out of the excess of what I've started. And so they like to do that. And they'll usually plant some like root vegetables like carrots and radishes. They're big radish fans. They find it just so fascinating. So um, that's usually what they do for their garden. And um, so, yeah, we'll see you next time when we go to start the tomato seeds. In between, we're going to we'll have an Azure order that we're going to pick up this coming week. And in that order, we have the stuff to make our own chicken feed. So I'm super excited to bring you along on that journey. I'm going to show you how I make our own chicken feed and the resources that I'm used to figure out what components to put in the feed. Be on the lookout for that video as well. And I'm so glad that you're here. And we'll see you next time, friend. Bye.